Okay, so it should be running faster today. Hink, looks something to do with time. Invictus, unbeaten. He was recalled, so afterwards, for the defence of his patria, of his homeland. He was recalled to his homeland to defend it. And he conducted a war against P. Scipio, the son of him, whom first at Rhode Island, and again at Paduam, and a third time at Trebia, he had routed. 2. With the facultatibus exhausted, with all the means or resources used up now of his homeland, he was desiring to settle the war in present circumstances, the adverb, with this Scipio son fellow. Okay. Quo with a comparative equals ut, so that more stronger afterwards he could fight. It happened, they went together and they had a colloquium, they had a bit of a conversation, but conditions non conveniat. They couldn't agree on conditions for this bit of a truce that he wanted to componere. Okay, so I'll put this early daily dictionary there. Impresarium, adverb in present circumstances or for the present. So it'll be a little truce for the present, I'm guessing. He wanted. Post id factum, after this was done, post in a few days, at Zama, with the same guy, he conflicted. They had a fight. He was pulsus, incredible to say. So Hannibal was beaten and drove off for 2 days, and Durbus Noctibuses for 2 days and 2 nights, being pulsed, driven, he reached Hadrumentum, which from Zama, where they putted this battle, is around 300 millia passums, 300 miles. In Act Fuga 4, in this flight, the Numidians, who at the same time with him had accessorated the battlefield, they'd left the battlefield, they've datived him, so insidious sunt, they've ambushed him. You can have plotting, but it's not usually with the dative. These people, which not only did he fugate from them, he got away from them, but he even oppressed them or crushed them. What's this? Locative or something? At Hugamentai, this is this place where he reached. The rest, he collected from the flight, all the people who had fled, he collected them, and he had new dilectionibusses, he had new recruitings, and in a few days he had drawn together multos, many new recruits, I'm guessing. 7. When in preparing, he was occupied most busily or fiercely. He composerant, he ponate, he put down or ended the war with the Romans, or the Carthaginians did, because it's plural. Carthaginians settled the war with the Romans while he was preparing fiercely. He, nihilo setius, no wise difference. Afterwards, he was praefected, he was in charge of the dative of the army, and res in Africa he gesseted. Now, Hesman or someone leaves this bit out. Likewise with his brother Margo, so that's not really there if you don't want it to be. Until the time of P. Sulpicius and C. Aurelium consuls, add taking accusatives as part of that. Usque ad goes together, sometimes adds in front, and there's also an ab usque from. 4. Bit of an explanation. Here's magistrates. In these magistrates, or in the time of these magistrates, legates Carthaginian legates venerated to Rome, who, this is going to be a purpose clause, sometimes you use ut, it's the imperfect subjunctive. They gave thanks to the Roman people and the Senate. So they came to Rome, this was their purpose, they gave thanks to them. And there's a quad here, because with them they had facilitated peace, they'd made peace. And because of this matter, they donated to him golden crown. Do usually takes a dative, donorant must be taking eos here. And at the same time they were seeking ut, that the hostages of them, their hostages, at this place, Fregelis, Okay, so hostages should be there. Okay, so Romans usually take hostages. They want them to live at this place, and they also wanted returned their captives. So probably captives in war, but you usually keep hostages of families that are important. Okay, to them, from the Senate, the consulta or decree, this is the the response. The gifts of them were gratefully accepted. The hostages, in which place they had asked them, which was Fregelis, they'd asked that they could stay there. Futuros, they would be there. The captives would not be remissed or set free, because Hannibal, of whose work for it had taken up this war, it was Hannibal behind this war, who is a very superlative hostile to the Roman name. He's very much an enemy or an enmity or whatever they call it to the Roman name. Even now, put the army, he was with Imperium, so he had power with the army, so the Romans didn't want to remissoros the captives. And likewise, Fratra Mago, this is what we saw in that bracket section earlier. The Carthaginians, cogniting this response, thinking about it, knowing it, they recalled Mago and Hannibal Domum home. To here, as he returned, I guess it's Hannibal now, he was Factus es Rex, king. Postquam conjunction, after he had been a praetor, or a more like a field general or something, Secundo and Vicismo was at 22 years, or it's inclusive, so maybe 21 in Roman years. For as locative Rome, at Rome, the consuls, thus in Carthage, annually for a year created or elected or whatever 2 kings. So you have 2 consuls at Rome, and you have 2 kings in Carthage. In his same in the magistrate of the in this magistrate, I want to say, 4th declension, with equal diligence, Hannibal showed himself to be. That's the ac as an as he had been in war. Usually ac means and, but sometimes it's like 4 or 5 circumstances where it takes that. For he effected it, he made it from the new taxes, not only that there would be the money which would be spent according to the treaty with Rome, so they lost the war, they had to pay Rome, but even superesset, there was a surplus which would be placed in the erario, the treasury. 6. Deinde, then, after a year, when Claudius and L. Furius were consuls, Roman legates, or that was the legates is that bit, they were Carthage bound, they got to Carthage. Hannibal Ratus, Hannibal thought that these legates, for the sake of demanding him, missos, had been sent. Okay, that's what he was ratusing. And prior to the Senate giving them, what have I done there? Giving them an audience, he ascended secretly a ship and profugated to Syria, to Antioch. Or was that the king, Antioch? I don't know. Is Antioch in Syria? Okay, so he's got to Syria, gone to the king Antioch. With this matter, Parlem, made known publicly, facta, done, facta hac re, the Phoenicians, Carthaginians, 2 ships, here's a little clause in the middle, they sent, and the clause is if they were able to consequi him. Sequi means follow, in sequel and persequel mean hound on the ends, consequel could mean overtake him. They sent them so they could comprehend him, they could apprehend him, you might want to say. So this knowledge that he fled was known. The Carthaginians sent 2 ships, grabbed him, if it was possible, which it was. They publicarented his goods. They, you might want to say, made public his goods, but they confiscated it for the state. They disyecaranted his house from its foundation, and they judged himself to be an exile or a criminal or something. 8. But Hannibal, in the 3rd year after he'd fled home, with these guys consuls, isn't it so much easier when you say in the year of the Lord rather than knowing 50 different consuls what year it is? Anyway, with quinque ships, with 5 ships, he Arcesida to Africa, in the land or regions of the Corneli Seorums, wherever they are. He's looking for something. If by chance the Carthaginians to war with the hope of Antiochus and his help, you might want to say, they were possible to induce the Carthaginians to have war with this guy King Antioch helping them, to who already he had persuaded that with an army he would set out into Africa, Italy. This place, he also excited or stirred up his brother Mago, so Mago's on the move.